Hey guys, DoogieQuasar MD here, back after a little absence because of my computer, or actually myself. Like a fat kid trying to eat too much cake, I totally recorded way too much without condensing the video in Movie Maker and deleting the actual raw footage. So, I'm back, now with about 160 gigs freed up, and we're going to make our way to Anor Londo. So first we have to go through Sen's Fortress, which is the key obstacle that stands between you and Anor Londo. So you go up like you're going to visit Andre, the smith. And just ride the elevator up. Generally, I try to kill the balders before I go on, because I'm still looking for a side sword, but I think I'm just going to move on for now. So, this little area where you were resting at the bonfire earlier, if you'd looked out, you would have noticed like a big door, and a little fat armored dude sitting up, you know, behind the area. Well, supposedly he's not actually fat, it's just his armor, but whatever. That area is opened up now. So, ringing the two bells opened up that area, and it allows you to move on to the next zone. And that zone is called... wait for it. Sen's Fortress. Actually, you weren't really waiting for it, I already said that, but whatever. So these guys are kind of a bitch. They take quite a bit of damage. Or, you know, take quite a few hits to put them down. If you were still using the Drake sword at this point, you'd really be fucked. I tried using it this far into a playthrough when I first learned about it, and it's generally not the direction that you want to go at this point. You need to be using something different. This works because it's enchantable and causes a bleed effect, which I've talked about many a time. I also like it's generally easier to get. You don't have to sit. What you do to get the Drake sword is you sit at the bottom of like the bridge that you go underneath to get past the dragon. But to sit past the bottom, or to sit under the bottom like that, you have to hit the dragon with like 20 or 30 arrows right in its tail to get the tail to fall off. It's just, it's always seemed like a ton of unnecessary work to me when there's a sword that's better for the later stages of the game and perfectly adequate during the early stages. You know, just sitting there. All you have to do is kill the shopkeeper. And you can hit them with those arrow traps, but you can just take them down with a few chops as well. It's not terribly difficult. So, here's a snake dude guarding a door. Or not a door, but like a wall. And what you'll find out later is that Big Hat Logan is behind that wall. Kind of, he's trapped in a cage. So, oh no. I've fallen to my death. Definitely be careful on this bridge, guys. I almost died because the auto lock-on switches from the guy on the one bridge to the guy on the other. So when the lock-on switches like that, you have to be real careful, because if you make a step in the wrong direction, you will fall off the bridge and kind of just plummet to your death. I generally find the lock-on to be helpful, but there's just certain instances of this game where it's a real detriment. And we got another one down. They seem to have a bit of weakness to magic, so Hitting them with these soul arrows seems to be pretty effective. They would just seek out the guy. There we go, almost. There we go. Not quite enough impact on those little ones, but I'm doing a bit of damage. And I'm getting a message, probably from Spencer, aka Ion, so I'll check that out real quick and get on with the guide after killing the snake. Alright, we're starting back up again. Sorry guys, with my teamly duties called for a second. And we're gonna try to round out of the way to... Oh no. Alright guys, sorry about that. The team called for a while, but I'm back. And we're moving on. You wait for the boulder to pass, then you run on up here. And he'll get run over by the boulder. Usually. It doesn't always happen that way, but that's usually what happens. We're out of here real quick, so we don't need to hit those. Oh my. So we're gonna use our Estus Flask real quick. Wait till the boulder rolls out, and then follow it. This part's not necessary to do, but there are some extra items, and I just felt in general that you guys would enjoy finding out how to get all that extra stuff. And one of the things that's most helpful down here is the gold serpent ring. I think it's called the Covetous Gold Serpent Ring if I remember correctly. It's what you can use to start farming for items that you may encounter. So as you can see, there's a bunch of boulders here. And once the boulders fill up, you can follow this area back into here. Once the boulder crashes through the wall, and it allows you to go and pick up the gold serpent ring. So we're just kind of sitting around waiting for now. There we go. Covetous Gold Serpent Ring. That's what allows you to farm a lot of these areas that I've talked about. Like, this is a good area to farm for a specific item. If I've mentioned that before, it usually means you need at least one soul and then Covetous Gold Serpent Ring before you can start farming it. So now in the game, something new to this area, mimics. They're here. They are a real fucking pain. They're only terrible if you don't expect them, which is why one of the big reasons that I recommend playing with a guide. If you chomp into a mimic thinking you're going to get the treasure that it has inside of it, take a whole shit ton of damage and then you have to fight it. So you have to fight it once you're already injured. If you start off attacking it though, you get the upper hand. For a while I just attacked every chest, and now I just kind of know which ones have it and which ones don't. So here we are. And this actually will allow us to free Big Hat Logan. So you turn that and wait for this to go by before we press onward. Alright, and get out of the way. If I was smart, I would have turned it first, but I'm not a smart man. can do that to juke it real quick. Alright, talk to him once. And now he will go to Firelink Shrine. So you can resume your magely studies with him. So we can make it to the end if you guys want. If you don't have very many souls, or you just don't give a shit, feel free to run off and die. Just tank that, and then run up here. And now you've really done everything that you need to do in this area, so you're ready to just move on and fight the area boss. Which, well, I made it sound kind of simple. It is, but it isn't. There's kind of puzzles and traps that you have to navigate before you can get up here. So the boulder will come back around here. And this time you'll just run straight up the path. And you can beat it under medium encumbrance, as you just saw. So, medium or light encumbrance, and you can beat the boulder before it gets launched again. And we'll just head up this way. Some great soul arrow spam. And that guy's dead pretty quickly. More great soul arrow spam, plus those guys can't block, helps even more. That really helps for this little part, just because the bridge is so narrow. If you take too much poise damage, you can easily get knocked off. So these are kind of double blades. You'll cross two, and then you'll cross the other two. So cross two, and then you'll cross the other two. As compared to the other set that you just kind of crossed all at once. And you're almost to Sen's Fortress's bonfire. Hard to believe there'd be a bonfire up here, but there is. I suppose it would be cruel to have you die to the boss and make you walk the whole way back through the all the Sun Sorceress. So here it is, bonfire. You can rest, recover your sorceries, and recover your flasks up to 5. More if you kindle it. I don't generally kindle this one. It seems kind of like a waste. You'll only end up really using it once each playthrough. And you'll run up this way. Should have quite a few large Titanite shards by this point. Oh my. Somehow that didn't stagger me to the point of making me fall down. I don't know how that happened. Apparently my character's so manly that he can just stand in gigantic cannonball explosions. I use that on some of these guys just because they parry, and they can't parry a soul arrow. So they can't try and deflect my attack, and then come back and in at me for a critical hit. This guy's really dispatched quickly. And just like the Tauros stunt demon at the beginning, there's a guy you have to kill before this boss fight, or you'll have, instead of being sniped at, you'll have giant cannonballs coming on at you during the boss fight. So here's the giant. He's pretty easy. Just whenever he's not doing anything, just come in for some attacks. Oh. Crushed underfoot. And he goes down. I think he drops a Titanite chunk, if I remember correctly. But that might just be a random drop. Oh, he drops one. So this will be my second attempt at the Iron Golem. I remembered there's a summoning sign here if you're unhallowed. I generally don't bother with it because the fight usually goes really well. He just didn't get staggered until quite late that time, so I'll give it another attempt, see what happens. Most of the damage that it was taking from my katana was from or Uchigatana rather, is from when it was enchanted, the actual magic adjust damage. So what I'm doing now is just using up all of my greater soul arrow quickly to try and eat a significant chunk of his health away without even having to be in range for most of his attacks. If you were really having an issue with the fight, you could theoretically both do the summon sign and just switch to all range attacks for your magic. I generally like the enchant magic weapon though because you get a little bit more mileage per cast. So we're all out of Great Soul Arrow, and we have him down to around half health, which is pretty good. I'm gonna try to go in for the kill now. I've heard stories of people knocking him off over the cliff, but I've never actually seen a video of it. If somebody knows of a video of it, I'd love to see it. I doubt whether it actually happens or not. My guess is that it does not. It seems to me to be kind of like the kid in your class that told you that he found a Mew under a truck in Celadon City or whatever it was. Whatever that fake rumor was. Take a bit of fall damage here, not fall damage, toss damage. Go and enchant the weapon again. Going for some more hits. Back up now. Estus Flask. Oh, and he's staggered, which should mean that we've got the kill. And that it does. And our souls, we get 40,000. That's awesome. So, at the end of this, I thought I'd tack on something real quick and fairly useful. It takes 9 of any given ingredient or whatever you want to call it, smithing material, to take an item from when it first starts using the material to when it just stops using the material. Now, with the number of large titanite shards we have, which is 4, if we were to be able to buy some more, we could theoretically upgrade our Uchigatana to plus, I think, 9 or 10. So to do that, we're going to do just that. We're going to buy some. So if you were able to do that little running jump there, you would be able to buy...
What?
So this is a little vendor, and you could buy large titanite shards from. We're looking for 5. So to upgrade our Uchigatana, and I will meet you guys back down at Andre of Astora. That's the blacksmith. So if you didn't rest at the bonfire, except the one at the top of Sen's Fortress, what you can do real quickly now is modify your equipment, upgrade your Uchigatana to plus 6, and then reinforce your weapon. Uchigatana plus 7, 8, 9, 10. So now it is doing 180 damage all by itself without its stat scaling. And then to get back to the top of Sen's Fortress, we'll just quickly use a homeward run. And then we're off to Anor Londo.